Hello everyone and welcome back to the channel. And now in this one we're going to do a video similar to the recent Wong video that I put out, where we're going to be talking about Chee'ilth, specifically in the Necropolis, and even more specifically for the 10-year Karina's challenge. Now in the background soon you're going to see us going up against and soloing the Titania, the first fight on the path that most people used her for. I additionally used her for Tigra and Captain America Infinity War on this path. Wong definitely puts in a lot of work on this path, but you can use her for a few other fights, notably Airwalker. So this video is also going to be a little bit of an ability breakdown for her and how to use guide. So if you do want to learn more about Chee'ilth and also see her stretch out a little bit against a big health pool, this might be a video for you. Now, to summarize some abilities for Chee'ilth, she has a very strong cleanse mechanic, which if you don't know what cleanse is, it's kind of like a delayed purify, and in some instances it can be more powerful than a straight up purify, and it counters different things than purify does. But in addition to that, she also has additional debuff control through tranquilize, and she has access to countering unstoppable and miss. She also has a single use really big regen, as well as a little bit extra regen in more niche situations when she's awakened. And basically the core of her kit is that she ramps up her crit damage rating and bleed potency as the fight carries on. These bleeds are going to be hitting very, very hard, especially as the health pools grow. She also gets an offensive boost against Gamma champs, which we're not going to see in this video. Even though Titania is Hulk adjacent, she is not a Gamma being. But there is a new Gamma being who's kind of an annoying defender. You might know him. His name is the Leader, and she is quite good at countering him as well as all the other Gamma Hulk type champions. So anyway, with that, we're going to get this clip rolling, and I'm going to tell you a little bit about this fight and a little bit about her abilities. So you're going to see that the first thing I do once this fight gets cracking is I race toward the Special 3. The Special 3 can only be used once per fight. It basically special locks after that. But for longer fights like this, I highly recommend using it, getting to it first, because it delivers to you a 35% vicious passive, which essentially makes your bleeds hit harder for the rest of the fight. And considering the reason that she works for these long fights in the first place is her bleeds are so strong, you do want this up. It will save you a lot of time in the long run and not be a waste of bars of power. Now, the other benefit of the Special 3 is that it has a very massive heal. You can read the description to learn exactly what it is, but at the very most, it can give you like as much as 30% of your health back if you're very low health, or if you're at a little bit higher health, it will just do 50% of the damage you're dealt during the fight so far. And now, of course, this is the first fight of the quest, so it's not super important to be healing it back, but just know that if you're in a questing scenario, going for an early Special 3 later in the quest can either mitigate damage from previous fights or any damage you took at the beginning of the fight, and a pretty cool strat to have in your back pocket. Now let's talk a little bit about her general play style, and then I'll tell you the why behind it. So once you've thrown your Special 3, the main goal is applying bleeds. And the bleeds are placed mostly from your medium and your heavy hits. Those are the ones that you swing your axe with. So in general, full combos are fine, heavies are fine. It's just a good place to start when playing her. But from there, first you have to decide which special you're going to throw in the match. So the special one puts on a grit passive, which turns off all unstoppable. Note that this is not slow, this is not ability accuracy reduction. This is very much like what Valkyrie has, where it just like flat out turns off unstoppable. And this also gives you a 50% chance to bleed on all hits moving forward when this grit is up. So this means that every hit of special attacks has a small chance, as well as your light attacks. And basically, if you don't need the utility that the Special 2 provides, I generally will suggest going for this special. Not only does it turn off the unstoppable, but you'll be proccing more bleeds because they apply to your light attacks as well. Now, the Special 2 is a little bit more specialized because it places a Tranquilize, which is at 50% potency on the opponent. This is like ability reduction of debuff. So anything that doesn't get picked up by the cleanses, it's a coin flip whether or not this one will pick them up. And the other thing that is very important is that this is a very special tranquilize, unlike other ones in the game, which will completely prevent her from missing. And now this covers all miss, like untouchable, base kit type misses, falter, all that kind of stuff. And best of all, this ability can pause the tranquilize and the miss counter when you either prevent a miss or prevent a debuff with it. So in very heavy debuff matchups, or if there's some kind of miss, you can have this up for a very long time. And for the Tigra that is later on the path, this actually can come really in handy because she has both ruptures and miss. So next we're going to talk about the most important skill ask for her, which is punishing heavies or punishing special attacks. This is attacking right into the window as the animation is ending before it's technically ended, and particularly if you can do this with your own heavy attack, it will be all the better. So you probably know by now, you've been seeing me do this a little bit in the background, and there's also this little timer that you've seen that's gone up to 10. This is called your spirit charge timer, right? This is the purple thing on the HUD in the upper left. This starts at 1 and it slowly builds to 10 over the fights. And each time you reach a new charge number on this thing, then you will get 2 cleanses. But even more important, in my opinion, than the cleanses is that this is where you increase your damage. It basically will increase the potency of bleeds and your critical damage number, bigger yellow numbers. In any long fight, you'll eventually get to 10, but when you punish a heavy or a special with any attack, it actually speeds up the timer pretty significantly. You can see it, like, if it's a clock, it like jumps like a quarter of the clock face. You can kind of see it speed ahead, and you get that much closer to getting another charge on the spirit timer. Additionally, as I mentioned, if the punishment of this attack comes from a heavy off of yourself, it will pause all the current bleeds, which is very important. Now, in this fight, I'm actually only running 3 out of 5 deep wounds. I highly recommend running 5 out of 5 with her, because when you get all the pauses going and the extended duration, you can get way more bleeds than you're even seeing here. But even in this moment of the fight, I just had 19 bleeds paused, which is pretty nice. So this is why, in general, her preferred loop is this, right? In this type of fight, we're throwing special ones, which will knock them down. If they're over a bar of power, that will encourage them to throw their own special. Then you bait out a special, you work on your spacing so that you can punish it with your own heavy. Note that her heavy range is like really far, so that initial kick from the heavy can really reach a pretty far distance, which is nice. And then that might push over a bar of power, which will also encourage them to throw a special. So if your special didn't, then your heavy might, and just kind of rinse repeat from there. I love these champions that are like throw the special one, bait the special one, punish the special one. That's basically what her kit is, which is something you might naturally do. And from there, basically all the big parts of her kit come together in just this amazing flow. You're slowly ramping your damage, you're pausing your bleeds, you're renewing cleanses, and you're also getting the added benefit of being basically immune to any unstoppable type effects for the rest of the fight, because the grit passive is always going to be up if you're spamming special ones. Now, in a fight like this, where Titania is just trying to place debuffs on you all the time, both from her kit and from the node in the Necropolis as well, also going unstoppable with her haymakers at times, it just doesn't get any better than Chee'ilth for this fight. I initially did it with Kate Bishop, and I think if you have a good run with Kate and everything goes well and you don't make any mistakes, it can go faster. But in my opinion, there's nobody out there who can counter this specific fight better than her. She's got the damage, she's got the utility, and her flow just makes it a lot easier to keep her cornered and keep her throwing her specials so that you're fully in control. You'll see by the end of this that I did get the solo. I had lots of health remaining, and it was all before the charges ran out on the timer, which is pretty good considering I wasn't boosted here. And additionally, I was only running 3 out of 5 deep wounds, which wasn't even maximizing her. It's just better than most characters can do. And also, I will say that Titania is, in my opinion, one of the trickier defenders on this whole map. She gets a little undersold due to being the first fight. You can just keep going in until you get a really good try, but I always said if she was in the middle of the map and you didn't bring a good counter, she would actually be one of the most annoying fights in the Necropolis. So it's quite nice that you can just bring her in, get the solo, and move on. Now throw on top of that, just talking a little bit about Chee'ilth as a more well-rounded character, she can at times be a pesky defender because she will have that cleanse up almost all the time, which makes your parries difficult to land, and also she can bleed you through the block. The other thing is she has two very unique abilities on her Sig, and due to all of that, I do think that if you're looking for a skill rank up, she is just one of the most reliable skills that you could rank up and use in a variety of situations and not have any regret. Talking a little bit about her Sig, the first part is her crit rating will increase when they are immune to her bleeds. So eventually you can, if they're failing your bleeds a lot, you can get a pretty high crit rate that will go along with your high crit damage rating from the spirit charges. Additionally, the second part of the Sig is that she can regen physical burst damage, which is not every kind of red damage, but it is a lot of the annoying red damage. So this is like if you take blocked hits from Absorbing Man, or if you face like a Tuma or Korg, those are also physical thorns. And one thing that I learned from B McG, just to give him a quick shout out, is that Max Sig, she can actually net heal if you run the recovery mastery. So you could be facing a Korg and actually heal off of the thorns because it's like 90% at Max Sig, and then you get the extra 15% from the recovery mastery. So that would also, of course, count for stuff like Herc's damage. So if she's a defender and you're trying to Hercules her, she's not going to really get hurt by his physical damage. So anyway, I know a lot of you may have already done the Karina's challenge, and this might be a moot point, but I did want to use it as an opportunity to also go over her abilities and showcase her in sort of a long runway so you could kind of see it all working together. As I mentioned, I also used her for Tigra and really relied on that Tranquilize. The fight looked almost the same, only I was spamming the special 2 when I could, and that was helping just keep the Tranquilize paused and keep the miss counter at bay. And then Captain America Infinity War, she was basically built for. He has really easy animations to counter. But yeah, if you want to check out some more content on her, go to Bitter Steel's channel, because he has some other Necropolis solos that might be a little bit less predictable on how he made them work, and they were quite amazing. So do check out his channel. Also, B McG, who I mentioned earlier, has a really good solo of the Spidey 99. She's a perfect counter for that. And overall, I've just really grown to love this champion, and I hope that after learning a little bit about her today, you also appreciate this amazing skill champ. So with that, that's going to be it for today. Thanks for checking out this video. Give me a like and a subscribe. Share it with your Alliance chat if you thought it was helpful at all, and I'll catch you in the next one.